Of course, we're talking about the Mississippi state law that banned abortion operation after the first 15 weeks of pregnancy. And that's a big deal.
For people like me that are bad at math, what's 15 weeks of pregnancy?
15 weeks is just under 4 months. So you're talking about, we'll say, 3.5 months of pregnancy.
And were there like stipulations to it? Did they talk about, were there certain exceptions? Did they have to qualify themselves? What rights were we as women given?
So the Dobbs case primarily said, that it's going to be, let's go back a few steps first and go back to Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade was talking about, it was a time back in the 60s, which was ruled in the 70s, about abortion and allowing abortions to happen with basically the women, having their right to privacy, not having to worry about getting any kind of parental consent, spousal consent, father consent, something like that, which then led to...
So this is directly related to HIPAA?
No.
It's a question. I'm asking because of the things that I've heard and seen. I have a lot of questions.
No, it has nothing to do with HIPAA. HIPAA was created much later. It has to do with the reason why they're talking about it right now, about there's no constitutional right to abortions, which is what Supreme Court Justice Alito wrote in his first draft opinion, is that they are trying to say that there's nothing there that says that. However, the First Amendment does have those freedoms. We know the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, and the freedom to the right to privacy. And the freedom to the right of privacy is where the justices back in 1973 said, hey, this is a part of privacy, being able for a woman to do what they feel is necessary for their body, including much later into their pregnancy, to be able to get an abortion. And then in the 90s came Planned Parenthood v. Casey. And that's where, of course, the court reaffirmed abortion. But then said that you need, instead of using the trimester thing, which back then it was, if it's the third trimester, the only way you can have an abortion is if the mom is at high risk of dying. Second trimester is if the baby is at high risk of dying and potentially the mom is at a risk of dying. And then first was given choice to mom to abort or not. And then the Planned Parenthood v. Casey came out and said, hey, we're not going to use this trimester approach anymore. Instead, we're going to use something called an undue burden on women seeking abortions, and saying that once the fetus is viable, meaning it can live on its own outside the mother's body or womb, that you can no longer get an abortion, unless, of course, there's an undue burden on the mother's life.
So one of the examples that I've heard of is this woman who is currently receiving chemotherapy and found out she's pregnant. That would be like an example that you're talking about.
Potentially. As many of you, I'm sure, have heard, when it comes to law talk, it depends. And the reason why it depends is because chemotherapy independently, cancer independently, isn't enough to be able to say that the mom won't survive the pregnancy or the baby won't be healthy upon birth.
Because we know people, I know personally someone that went through that, and both mom and baby are healthy and happy and live beautiful lives. But it does create a situation where the woman has currently the choice on whether or not she wants to put that additional stress on her body, if she wants to take that additional risk.
Right. Yeah. And that's the issue that's happening right now, of course, with pro-life, pro-choice, and my body, my choice. These, the movements that are happening right now. Um, women want to have their own choice when it comes to what they get to do with it. And if they decide that they don't want to carry a baby to full term, then they should have that right to be able to abort the baby. And of course, you have the pro-life side that's trying to say, "Hey, who are you to, who are you to make these mistakes?" And then just instead of taking birth control or anything else, now you want to fix your mistake by
quote unquote.
fix your mistake by aborting a baby and moving on with life like nothing ever happened. And of course that's wrong. That's a wrong way to think of it. That's not the only reason why women get abortions. They don't get abortions just because they want to
Regardless
fix a
of,
mistake.
this is not his opinion, this is my opinion, and this is me independently. Whatever your reason is for getting your abortion, it's none of my business. So I don't think that we need to be having an opinion on what's wrong and what's right. We're talking about the legality of it, right? We're talking about where these fundamental changes have happened in law that have created these protections for women.
Right. And so you have Mississippi, and this is the case that's at the Supreme Court now that Judge Alito, his leaked first draft came out. The Mississippi state law says up to 15 weeks, which Planned Parenthood v. Casey talked about up to 24 weeks, because at 24 weeks is when a baby is considered to be potentially viable. So so basically the Dobbs case in Mississippi is saying, hey, we no longer believe it should be 24 weeks, it should be 15 weeks, hence why we're going to go ahead and bring it down a little bit. Then you have states like Texas. And Texas has a little bit stricter abortion, more restrictive abortion law, where they basically banned all abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy and saying, now the baby, the fetus has heartbeat, no more, no mas. And that's, and that, of course, there's been some talks about that, with the Supreme Court, whatnot. But you're talking about on the 4th week is when a woman finds out that she has a missed period.
Well, and it's not just women. We are very inclusive here, so we want to be very careful about the terminology. It's not just women that are getting pregnant. We are very LGBTQI inclusive, so it's humans, it's child bearers, it's child carriers. It's not just women.
Yeah. My apologies. And when I say women, I mean a person who is able to carry a baby, carry a fetus, and so this person won't know that they have a missed period until the 4th week, and there's a very short window between that missed period and the abortion law here in Texas of when you can get that abortion. I mean, you're talking about, a week, maybe 2 weeks of being able to know that you have, that you're pregnant, and the ability to actually get an abortion. And
having access to it, getting to that appointment.
Well, there's no access here in Texas anymore. So now they have to leave. So now they have to plan a trip to get somewhere.
To go camping.
To go camping in California or Mexico. And what this case is going to do is that it's going to go ahead and take the Roe v. Wade, overturn it, it's overturning Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood. So it's no longer a constitutional right for a woman to have an abortion. Instead, it is allowing the states to make laws that they deem fit for their own constituents on how abortion should be handled within that state. And that's the reasoning or the holding of the Supreme Court, that this shouldn't be on the federal level, that instead it should be on the state level. But as we know, here in the South, it's a very red states, ultra red, deep red, and unfortunately, religion is mixed into politics.
So that you actually led into my next question that I really wanted to get into. Are there any legal arguments outside of religion that can advocate against abortions?
What do you mean by that?
So, is there any kind of legal argument that you can make that is quote unquote pro-life that could advocate for why abortions should be illegal that aren't religiously based? Because all the ones that I have personally heard come back to life at conception and this, that, and the other. But what does that have to do with constitutional rights? What does that have to do with, where's the argument? Where's the legal argument that isn't faith-based for why we shouldn't have abortions?
I mean, it's hard to say that there is one. Is there anything outside of?
Hey, guys, knock it off. Go lay down.
Is there anything inside of potential? Sorry for anyone that saw me nudge my dog. I just realized that you can see my bare legs on the TikTok. Faith-based. So I mean, non-faith-based. If you're looking at it from a pure science standpoint, from the science standpoint, they're going to say that because the living fetus has a heartbeat, it should be considered to be a human at that point. Which, if you look at it from the legal standpoint, a father is deemed necessary to him to start providing child support at that stage, because now you have to support the growing baby, the growing fetus.
But is that the case?
Technically, yes. So looking at it from the reverse, yes. When
is that the case today? When people go to court for child support, they can ask for child support at that point.
Absolutely. And at the same time, and looking at it from the reverse, a mother can terminate the parental rights of the father and use the evidence that he did not support the mother or the baby during the pregnancy, and that being a reason as to why to terminate the father's rights. Father's parental rights.
There is a legal standpoint on both sides.
Of course, there's a legal standpoint on both sides. When you're looking at it from a child support, child custody standpoint, they consider that the baby is growing and has a heartbeat and should be considered to be a human being. And when it comes to support, access, and possession, yes.
So it comes back to an argument of which life should hold more value, whether it be the independent, fully formed woman or the fetus inside of her.
And that's the thing that the medical doctors are trying to say, is that there are medical doctors not looking at it from a faith-based standpoint, that a baby should only be aborted if it's presents a risk to the baby, a fatal risk to the baby,
fetus,
a fatal risk to the mother, or in some cases a severe genetic defect that will not provide a quality of life to the baby. So if one of those three things are met, then potentially a doctor from a non-faith-based standpoint will say that an abortion is necessary. But at the same time, they could say that there's not enough here to say that that the mother, the fetus, or is at any risk, and say that an abortion is not necessarily necessary.
So, what happens next for those of us that don't understand with this leaked?
Yeah. So first and foremost, leaked does not mean final. It does not mean that that is exactly what's going to happen. It does not mean that is set in stone and it's going to happen. As we all know, more than likely, unfortunately, that is what's going to happen. But with it being a leak, that could force a justice or two to switch sides and not overturn Roe v. Wade because of the uproar that's happening right now.
So something else that I saw is that the justice system is supposed to be impartial, that the people are not supposed to have an influence on it, and that this leak has now created an undue influence.
It has, and the reason why they're saying that is, if you look at what's happening in Congress right now, Congress is trying to pass something as quick as possible to protect the rights, that's come from Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood v. Casey. These rights that should have been protected, right?
Your personal opinion.
Whatever it may be. And all of this, should have been
50 years ago.
It should have been in legislature. The legislative branch is who creates laws. And the judicial branch is the ones that are supposed to affirm those laws or reverse them. And in 1973 and 1992, they affirmed these laws. These things that happened, and
they
now
upheld the decisions.
They upheld the decisions, affirmed them, which now makes them common law. And common law means that it's a law that comes out of a court case. So you have your statutory law, which is going to be, Texas Penal Code Section 31.07, which, if I remember correctly, I think that's like theft or something like that. Or maybe even assault, one of those two. And that's going to be your statutory law. And then you have, I'm just looking, 31.07, it's theft. Okay. Yeah, see, I'm good.
The law school stuff.
Woo! That wasn't even law school. That's Texas Penal Code. I came from Florida. FAMU. So anyways, that's statutory law. Common law is what happens, is laws that come out of court cases. So anything that a judge says, this is the way it should be, this is the way, as Grogu and Mandalorian would say.
It's today. Oh no, Cinco de Mayo. I was going to say May the 4th be with you.
That was yesterday. May the 4th be with you. So if a judge says this is the way, then that becomes common law. And whether it's, Roe v. Wade, whether it's Planned Parenthood v. Casey, which at one point may have been statutory law, it also became common law because the Supreme Court said this is the law of the land and this is what we're going to stick with. And now we have a completely different Supreme Court justice variety. I mean, it's been 50 years. So there's, you don't have your RBGs, you don't have your Justice Day O'Connors.
May she rest in peace and may her memory always be a blessing.
You don't have your, Justice Burgers, your Scalias, your Kennedys, all of these, Supreme Court justices from the past. Of course, they don't exist anymore. I mean, unfortunately, they've passed, they've retired, retiring, like we have one retiring right now. And so because of all this, it of course, it's going to be as impartial as possible, but unfortunately, there's always some kind of bipartisanship to it, and that's my biggest deal. What grinds my gears about the judicial system, where in Florida they actually have a no party affiliation style election system for their judges, while in states like Texas, come vote for me, you're Texas Republican, or come vote for me, you're Texas Democrat, for judge. And so you already know that this Republican is going to be a gun-toting, he's going to believe in following his beliefs and wherever he gets them from, whether it's a church or wherever else, and more than likely he's going to be more pro-life than pro-choice, and he's going to be he or she's going to be potentially more anti-LGBT, while the Democrat, looking from the Republican side, the Democrat's going to be more pro-choice. The Democrat's going to want to have more taxes. The Democrat's going to want
gun control.
more gun control. The exact opposite of what the Republicans want. And Democrats are more pro-LGBT. Of course, I believe that judges should be right down the middle. There should not be
partisanship.
There absolutely should not be any kind of partisanship. And what makes it even worse is that it's the president that nominates the Supreme Court justice. Well, who's going to nominate the Supreme Court justice? That political party's president, which 2 years ago was President Trump, appointing Joe Schmo or Kavanaugh and
Amy Coney Barrett.
Coney Barrett as Republican judges. And then we have President Biden now, a Democrat, who's just appointed and confirmed a Democratic judge. But how's that fair? Because think of it this way. If, let's just say, hypothetically, Biden, has a 2-term. Okay, well, he can't have a 3-term. And then elected is going to be another Democratic president, another 2 terms, and then another Democratic president, 2 terms, another Democratic president, 2 terms. Now you have, 10 years worth of, I'm sorry, not 10 years worth, 20 years worth of Democratic presidents that are appointing a brand new Supreme Court justice, all of them. What's going to happen to them? What's going to happen? It's going to cause an outrage to the Republican Party.
And if the opposite happens, the exact same thing.
Absolutely. So it's going to just create this riot and chaos because it's being appointed by a political party president who should not be a part of a political party. He should, it should be someone that's right down the middle as well. Your people are not just Democrats. Your people, the people of the United States, are Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, Independents, whatever they may be.
Anarchists.
Green Party, spaghetti, Pastafarians. Sorry, spaghetti, Pastafarians. All these people, they represent all of us. Our Congress represents all of us, not just the Democrats in your states, not just the Democrats or Republicans in our country. All of these freaking people should be represented fairly, and the only way they can be represented fairly is by having someone that's representing them that will hear both sides and not take their own beliefs and say, well, although they're saying, 75% of my constituents are saying that I should be pro-LGBT, but I'm thinking we should be anti-LGBT. Where's that coming from? Why is this person going to say that 75% of his or her constituents are saying be pro-LGBT, and he's going to go with the 25%?
I want to put a pin in that because isn't that close to the statistics when it comes to abortions? I've heard that statistically speaking, there's not a single place in the United States that has more than 30% support for overturning Roe v. Wade. I've heard that. I don't know if it's true. Yet we're still having this happen in our justice system.
Here's a question. I get why there are so many men that are in uproar about the abortion laws in general, because that should have been my baby. I would have taken care of the baby, and so on, right? And so when I think about it, I'm like, why do I have a voice in this as a male, as a white male, as any kind of male,
As
Yeah.
a non-childbearing person.
as a non-childbearing person. And I understand, that could have been my baby. I would have raised it and I would have taken care of it and all this other stuff and all these things that could have been. But at the same time, I'm not the one bearing the child. I'm not the one having it in my belly for 9 months, you know, from a little pea to a pineapple or whatever the fruits are, and creating this life. So why should I have some kind of voice in that? And that's the other side, is that because it could have and should have been my baby and I would have taken care of it, I should have had some kind of say. So yes, the percentages are showing that most people are against the overturning of Roe v. Wade and are against the overturning of Planned Parenthood v. Casey. And that should be, because that's been the law of the land for 50 years now. Most of us haven't even been alive 50 years. Most of us,
That will be affected by this change.
I mean, I'm trying to think of any.
What I'm saying,
Menopause happens at right around 50.
for some of us,
So I'm just saying that
what I'm saying is those
these
that are
last
going to be
50
affected,
years can be the ones that are affected.
So here's my question for you. Roe v. Wade, we talked about it. Tell me about Planned Parenthood versus Casey.
So Planned Parenthood v. Casey is where they took Roe v. Wade and said, we're not doing the trimester way anymore. We're doing the viability.
I see.
And the viability is where it's talking about if the child can survive on its own outside the womb, then the fetus can no longer be aborted. And if you want to see some crazy YouTube videos on abortions and what they used to be,
Before they were safe.
they used to blender babies, and we got taught this in law school, and it was absolutely insane and mind-numbing. It's crazy what they talk about in there.
And so here's another thing too, with technology and medicine and everything advancing, and abortion today is 2 pills.
Yeah, it's pill 1, pill 2, and
It's still the child bearer is going to have their experience with it, but the way that abortions are talked about and the way that things happen,
people believe that the blending still happens. And I don't remember what it was called, but it was like cut mutilation or something. It had a very vulgar name to it, and people think that that's what still happens, and it doesn't. It's a very. I'm not gonna say that it's
just evolved.
humane, but I will say that it is as much humane as it can possibly be.
Yes.
It's still, whichever side you're looking at it, it's still a heartbeat, and the heartbeat is no longer there at the end of the abortion. But that the argument is that should be the child bearer's choice, and not
Anyone else's.
someone sitting in Capitol Hill or in
Anyone else's.
Period. Right. Anyone else's. Period.
There's a lot of people that are talking about how the next things that are going to happen is overturning gay marriage, that this is setting a precedent for that.
As much as I want to say that it's a long shot, I know that 4-6 years ago we were talking about Roe v. Wade being a long shot of being overturned, and here we are
Living it.
in a Biden. And what's surprising is that it's not in a Trump administration. I'm truly shocked about that part. You would have thought that in a Trump administration that this would have happened.
But the judges got appointed.
The judges got appointed, and unfortunately, the new justice that's supposed to be taking over, Justice Brown, right? Is who's about to take over. Brown Jackson, sorry.
Which amazing.
amazing. You know,
And regardless of political affiliation, a person of color, a woman of color, I've seen so many beautiful things about little girls looking, oh, I'm going to get emotional, looking on TV and saying, she looks like me. We need more of that.
yeah, our parents both graduated from HBCUs. HBCUs like Florida A&M, Bethune Cookman, you know, but Howard University, all of these excellent HBCU schools. I had the privilege and pleasure of going to an HBCU, and I got to see it firsthand what it means to people of color to be able to feel seen and be seen and
Not be the minority.
not be the minority. And they shined, you could see a lot of them coming out of their shells because they could be who they wanted it to be. And it was amazing. My classmates, I was the minority there, and I loved every minute of it, being able to be on the sidelines to watch it all. And I remember one of my classmates asking, why don't I take a officer position? And I told him that's not my place, because I I understand that I came to an HBCU, and I'm not going to sit here and try to privilege myself into a position that there's many more people that are much more deserving than I ever will be.
But you did serve. You were a judge and a justice at your school.
I was a Supreme Court justice at Florida A&M University. That's right. And I started off as a circuit court judge, just like Justice Brown Jackson did and is now doing, and moved my way up to the Supreme Court. And it was an amazing experience being able to listen to cases. They were real cases. I mean, these are student complaints on the Student Government Association. They heard, actual, traffic tickets that were happening. The students can appeal it, and those would come in to the court system.
Wasn't there stuff going on about housing as well at the time? Wasn't there, or did that not come to you?
Yeah, there's about emergency housing. That was at the law school level. That's when I was a circuit court judge, and as well as some other organization issues. We had one of my classmates really wanted to see change and wanted to be a part of the change, and he felt like he just kept getting shunned at every level from the students and from the faculty. And so he took it, from the courts, the law school circuit court up to the Supreme Court. Unfortunately, it didn't go his way.
But the system was in place to hear him.
Yeah, the system was in place to hear him. And, as a Supreme Court justice, it was truly an honor to be able to hear and listen to all of these. Most of them are undergraduates, and they have this
fire.
Definitely fire. I was going to say desire of wanting major changes and not to be cheated out of a system that was created for them. And a lot of them prevailed because of it, because they did it right.
And all of this is a reflection of what our government and our judicial system and everything that has been put in place for our country was created and founded on. And we can see it at a college level, but we're struggling to see it on a national level. Yeah,
absolutely. And I was actually, while you were just saying that, I was thinking about it. And we have, they didn't ask me when I was being confirmed into become a Supreme Court justice what political party I believed in. They didn't ask me, what my thoughts were on these issues, because that shouldn't be a part of the questioning. That shouldn't be a part of the answering. And that's the same thing that unfortunately we saw at the confirmation hearings for Justice Brown Jackson, how she was talking about, they're asking her questions. What do you think about, LGBT rights? What do you think about abortion rights? What does it matter to you? Like, why are you going to vote a certain way because of the way that she answers these questions? It should be impartial, period. Anything that happens should be impartial. Are you going to look at the law? Does the law say this? Is this what's happening with the law? If it is happening this way, then it should be upheld. If it's not happening this way, then it shouldn't be upheld. And it should be reversed, remanded back down, and let them fix it, and if necessary, bring it back up. But it shouldn't be this
Circus.
I am this way, therefore I will vote this way, therefore the 49% of you should vote this way and the other 51% of you should vote this way. Yeah, I'm going back to the beginning. Our country needs to be more impartial. Our delegates on all levels need to be impartial. And that goes from city council, that goes to state legislators, that goes to our state judges, our federal judges. Let's go all the way up to Congress. Congress, our executive branch, our legislative branch, Congress, the House of Representatives and Senate, our judicial branch, all three branches need to be impartial.
I heard a lot of shoulds, and I hear that a lot of people would agree with you, but they say that that's just not our reality, and it's never going to be.
That's not our reality, unfortunately, just like universal health care more than likely will never be a reality. And unfortunately to say that these are two things that will never happen, because we have, although our generation and the newest generation, Z, are considered to be woke, and we're able to, think for ourselves, not go with mommy and daddy ethics, and be able to do what we believe is best for us, not looking at all these external factors. I don't think that we're ever going to get to a place where we're going to be woke enough to change these things to better our community, because unfortunately our community is greedy and they want what they want and they don't care about the other people. Which brings me to another point, which is the masks. Everyone is comparing Roe v. Wade to masks. Everyone's saying, you're telling me that it's my body, my choice when it comes to the abortion, right? Well, where was my body, my choice when it came to the mask? And it's a simple answer to that. And it's an answer where I don't care if it's skewed or whatever. But this is a medical and health reason from someone that has autoimmune deficiency and everything else. The mask was to protect other people from a fatal virus that could secretly and silently kill, and did kill many, 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 many people, and it infected even more. And I was infected twice with it, and I was fortunate that it wasn't too severe. But I mean, my brother, he was in the hospital for a week. My dad got it twice and felt like crap. The hospital,
worried about him.
The hospital turned him away because
they were too full.
They were too full,
and he wasn't
sick enough. He wasn't sick enough, so they turned him away. So the mask was there. Was there to protect other people in case you had the virus, so that you don't spread it to them. Yeah, it caused discomfort, and maybe it was a little bit more difficult to breathe and all this other stuff. But in the end, the mask was there to protect you from getting the virus, you transmitting this virus to others, while an abortion has nothing to do with your life and the dangers of an abortion doesn't create a danger for you.
But here's the other part of the argument. It's the same people that were screaming my body, my choice for not wearing the mask that are now up in arms saying that the abortions should be illegal, that the woman has to carry,
that's what I'm saying.
Has to carry the fetus.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Is that these are the same people that are saying that where's your my body, my choice when the masks came out? You're saying my body, my choice now
we've always said my body, my choice. Always for women.
But what I'm saying is
out of
my body, my choice. Everyone's screaming my body, my choice when it comes to abortion right now. But no one was screaming my body, my choice, or was allowing to be heard when they were talking about the masks. And that's what I'm trying to go at.
What about vaccines?
That's my body, my choice. If we're going to go, because that has to do with my body. And I agree with that. Because if we're going to agree about abortions being my body, my choice, then yes, vaccines should be the same way. Okay. There should be no double standard there. Because a vaccine, while is to protect you from being able to get the virus, right?
Okay.
The mask was to protect others from getting the virus from you.
Okay.
So the my body, my choice, if you're going to correlate it to something, you're correlating abortion to vaccine, not abortion to masks. While people right now are trying to correlate abortion to masks.
So it's a false equivalency.
It's a completely false equivalency.
Okay. So do you have anything else on this topic that you think needs to be said?
In the end, if this was to be overturned, it is left up to our states and our state legislations to create laws to either restrict or expand abortion rights, right? And so my recommendation to each and every one of you is to take that plight in whichever view that you take and make sure you reach out to your local representative and let them know that this is from a constituent and this is what they need to talk about and how you feel about it, whether it is pro-abortion or if it is pro-life, whatever it may be. Now that it's
pro-abortion,
pro-choice,
pro-choice.
so pro-choice or pro-life, now would be the time to start reaching out to your state representatives, find out who your district representative is, send them letters, call their phones, and let them know that this is how you feel. This is how you feel about this topic. This is how you feel about that topic. Because now that it's being on the state level, your district representative is the person that's going to your state capital and saying, hey, my constituents are saying that we should be pro-choice. My constituents are saying that we should be pro-life. And let's run with that. And they should be voting on the constituents' line, not on their own beliefs. If they do that on the state level, I don't know much about state level politics, but if it's anything like federal level politics, they're doing what they want and they're getting paid to do it.
Okay. I want to change topics. Thank you for everyone that has stuck with us through this. If you have any comments, questions, any input, we're here. We've got the chats open. I don't know if you have anything on TikTok. We've had people come in and out. We're on Facebook. We're not on Instagram right now. I fell short on that. Sorry. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. I've got everything open on there. You've got TikTok up on there. I want to ask you about what it's been like as your first year as a lawyer.
That's a loaded question, and I'm going to say that most of that is going to be confidential and privileged to my attorney-client privilege, and it's been awesome. I've loved almost every minute of it.
Except for messy divorces.
I learned a lot about what I like and what I don't like, and I remember going into law school not wanting to even touch criminal law, and I am loving criminal defense. Keeping people out of jail. Having clients that were supposed to have 20 years in state penitentiary, state pen, and while they were there, after looking at the evidence and everything else, got them down on a substantially lesser charge, and they were out before Thanksgiving that year. They served their time. There's still a little bit of time to be served on that case, but they were looking at a lot of time. I mean, they wanted to throw the book at them, and that's definitely one of my proudest moments in my first year of criminal defense. Estate planning, of course, is super important. Dying without a will is going to just cause stress to your family and friends, and it's just absolutely awful. Being able to talk to so many different people from so many different, types of lives, whether it's, the underprivileged all the way to the ultra wealthy and all of their issues. You would think that someone that's underprivileged doesn't have the same issues as someone that, has money, but guess what? It's the same problems. Unfortunately, one has more money to throw at it, but that doesn't mean that they should get lesser representation because of it. And that's always been my ideal and my beliefs and my morals about it, is that I'm not going to, number one, I'm like on a sliding scale, I will shift my fees to make sure that those that are underprivileged and underrepresented are able to afford legal representation access. Whereas, someone that has a little bit, that's a little bit more affluent, on a shifting scale, they'll pay a little bit more. And it's fair because that's my normal rates is going to be what the affluent people pay. But for the people that are underrepresented, underprivileged, I'm not going to charge them that much. And and a lot of times it's actually been pro bono work. And, I got a pro bono award recently.
I know. I was about to ask you about that. You logged a crazy amount of hours in your first year.
I've already logged a crazy amount of hours this year as well. My hours are definitely going to be a lot more this year than they were last year, only because
longer time in practice.
I only had 7 months or 8 months of practice last year. Where this year I'll have a full year, and I won't stop that. I'll continue to do pro bono hours because there's plenty of people that I know that need help, and they just can't afford it. And I'm not going to step away and say I'm not going to help you, because that's not cool. I'm not here for the money.
It's also not ethical.
Ethical or not, I'm not going to say it's unethical. I'm not going to say that there's any kind of lawyer's creed that says, don't help the needy, honestly. But there's a lot of greedy people out there that won't help because they know it's not worth their time and money. And time is money to a lot of these lawyers. And, I'm not saying anything bad to any of my colleagues, because every single one of them that I've met have been extraordinary, very respectful, very caring for their clients and for their opposing party clients,
And I've only pushed you to be better. I've seen you grow so much in this past year. So he struggles with this, so he may get a little uncomfortable. For those of you that don't know Simon's story, Simon went to law school. COVID happened, and he had 2 internships. So while he was at FAMU, we came back to Texas for those 2 internships, and they got canceled. And it was his dream internships. They were at public service.
It was 3. It was actually
3.
Before COVID. It was 3 district attorneys' offices.
So it was his dream. For the longest time, he wanted to be in public service, and he got those internships. And due to COVID, his internships got canceled. And while we didn't know that before, we were already back in Texas with a plan to be here for at least 6 months for those internships. And while we were here, I was offered job opportunities that I couldn't turn down, that were just for COVID. It was work from home. It was in healthcare. It was for a reputable company. It was something that we were going to need for stability, for him to step into the workforce for whatever came next. It was what we needed. And so Simon took on so much extra work. He took on extra classes. He got approval from his university, from his dean, to graduate early. So he actually graduated 6 months early, having done externships, having done internships. You had done Guardium Ad Litem. You had done
corporate law. Immigration Refugee
Services. So he already had all of this under his belt and was still trying to do the DA service, DA's internship. And when that didn't work out, he decided to just barrel through and say, I'm going to graduate early. And he graduated early with honors. That last,
I mean, Dean's List and book awards, meaning highest grade in the class, but
that's a form of honor in my. He had the highest wife honors,
there you go.
and went on to study for the bar during COVID. Took the bar during peak COVID here in Texas.
Second wave.
Second wave, full lockdown, full isolation, all the stress and everything. A lot of people were deferring because so much was unknown, and passed in the 95th
5th percentile.
percentile, which I had to have that explained to me, which means he was in the top 5% of the people who passed. And he took the UBE. See, I'm still learning a lot of this, which means that he could practice law in 30,
I think it's 38 now or 39
38 or 39 states,
jurisdictions.
My apologies.
Because you got like other
Territories and things like
territories that follow the UBE.
that. There you go. And he refused to let anything hinder him from accomplishing what he set out to do. And then he got offered his dream job, which was state attorney. This is what he had been working towards this whole time. And he turned it down, and he turned to me and he said, I want to open up my own practice. And I have this vision of what I'm going to do. And he goes, I'm going to help people who need access to law. I'm going to educate people. I'm going to do it different than I've seen it done. And I'm going to do it my way. And so a lot of things that we do are different. As you can see, we're here, we've got a banner, we do work at home, we're in our home right now. This is our office because we don't have a brick and mortar building, so that we can keep our overhead costs lower so that more people can have access to things. We do virtual appointments through Zoom and through phone and things like that so that we can accommodate anyone's schedule. And we go to our clients. We've driven, we had someone, so we're in the DFW Metroplex. One of our clients was from Houston, and they were flying through, they flew through Dallas. We drove to the airport. We met up with them outside of there. And we go to the people, and we're invited into our clients' homes, and we build relationships. And it's not just a thank you, bye, here's your invoice. And I'm so proud of you.
Thanks. You've got the LLM though. I did also get a master's of law during bar exam.
I forgot about that. See, he does so much. So he passed the bar.
Let me toot my own horn a little.
Yeah, let's do that. So he passed the bar, and then he goes, this isn't enough.
No, during the
bar.
Yeah, while studying for the bar, I started my master's of law program.
Which is not a specialization.
Postdoctorate.
It's a postdoctorate. So it's the next level. And he's your guy for medical malpractice.
Healthcare law in general.
Healthcare law in
false
general.
claims, medical malpractice, HIPAA violations. I mean, if it's medical related, I now have a postdoctorate in that.
While studying for the bar, during a pandemic, in isolation, and choosing to go out and just do something that maybe someone else is doing it as well. And if you are, please reach out. We want to work with you. We want to talk with you. We want to know that there's more people out there like us, And so much of this is just him and I. Social media for the longest time was just him and I. Marketing was just him and I. And shout out to our marketing team now. BMAX Group is phenomenal. They have been taking us leap and strides into the future. And we can't do it without our team. We are so grateful for them. Monica, Isabel, love you. But it's slowly but surely, and it's all about this vision of how we believe that law should be
For everyone.
for everyone.
The law should be for everyone because everyone, it's not just about criminal defense. There's more to law than criminal offense. There's you want to start a business. Well, you're going to need someone to help you write, read, or translate contracts. If when you die, we're all inevitably going to die. You want to make sure that your family's covered. Well, that's estate planning.
Someone sells you something that's a little.
Yeah, you got some shady shit going on. Pardon my language. You need to protect yourself because they committed fraud. So, what's going to happen? You're going to need a lawyer. Immigration. Family members that are outside the United States that you want to bring them here. Whether that's your parents, your spouses, your children, siblings, or if you started a job and the best person for that job so happens to be in country X, you're gonna
business. Started a business.
Start a business, and the best person for that job is someone that lives in country X. Well, you want to bring them over here. That's immigration. You have personal injury, slip and fall, car accidents. I hope that doesn't happen to anyone, of course. But guess what? You need an attorney for that.
And that kind of ties me into we're a comprehensive law firm. We are a small business for a small business. When you think of all of these major corporations and what they have access to and how everything's interconnected and they don't have to go to this lawyer for this and that law firm for this and this, that, and the other, everything's just in one place and all of their information is in one place. And we wanted to be able to offer that to Joe Schmo, to anybody.
Yeah. And I actually got this idea from one of my internships. They call themselves a boutique law firm, and they're a boutique because they handle cases, corporate law, commercial law, bankruptcies. They're all about business, of course, but they handle all different types of businesses, not just corporate law and business transactions, but the entire financial sector of corporate law. And so they call themselves a boutique law firm. Well, boutique it still has a little bit of a niche there, right? I don't want to be niched down to just one thing. And that's why the comprehensive thing, you get your insurance, you get car insurance, you want comprehensive car insurance. You want something that's going to cover everything and anything that happens. That's me. That's iLaw. That's what we're trying to build, and hopefully, years down the line, there'll be other attorneys and potentially other regions that are going to have the same thing, where they will be iLaw and they will handle and build relationships with people. I'm not going to, you're not a client, you're a person, you're a friend, and hopefully build that relationship with them, just like you would with your financial advisor, just like you would with anyone else. You need this to happen. I'm here for it. I'm your go-to person for it, and that's why it's iLaw. It's everything that you may need, and we're here for it.
So, other than that, we want to introduce you to our family. I think it's always fun to do a little family introduction. So, he's the head of the family, Mrs. Simon. I'm the neck. I'm Lexi, also Lex. And we have our eldest. Come here, baby. Hashtag. Come here, baby.
Come here, Sammy.
He's a good boy.
Sammy. Come here, Sammy. Come here. Come here. Over here.
Go to daddy.
Come on. Come here. You can come up. Sammy. Come here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come here.
She's a jealous dog.
Come here.
They're both very jealous dogs.
You can see her under the thing. She's wagging her
Get
tail.
her up there. She
Come on.
wants to come say hi. She's cuter in so many ways. This is my boy.
Come here.
This is hashtag.
Sammy.
He's our eldest. He came with a name. We rescued
Come
him in
here.
Orlando,
Come here.
and he is my emotional support dog.
Come here.
And he and I just
Come
vibe
here.
on so many levels. He's my
Come here.
good boy.
Come on. Come.
She's
Sammy.
wagging her ears at you. Good job. Sammy, come here, baby girl. Come here. Come here, jealous girl. Come here. Come here. I got you. And this is Semi Girl, short for semicolon. When hashtag came with the name and we got our second baby, we wanted to keep with the trend and we wanted to do punctuation. So she's semicolon. And for any of you that have mental health awareness, and I believe it's actually Mental Health Awareness Month, semicolon is the pause, right? And part of my story is that I am a gender warrior. I cannot have children. I had a hysterectomy last year. If you have not heard of endometriosis, it affects 1 in 10 women. It is underfunded, underseen, and all-encompassing in so many ways. And after my hysterectomy, I was really struggling and I was having a really hard time. And we started talking about getting another baby in a few months. And the next day, a friend of ours put online that this baby girl needed a home. And she is wild. And she is the light that we needed after so much change was going on in our lives. So she is our semicolon. She is the pause that we needed. And we call her Semi for short. She's our little blonde girl. You're about to do it?
Yeah, why not? I mean,
Alright.
since you're already talking about,
Whoop! No! Semi!
well, at least the life paused over here. Yeah, go. Go lay down. Go lay down.
And that's why we call her a wild child.
Go lay down. Go lay down.
Hold this.
Go lay down. Sorry, everybody. A little bit of loud noises. My apologies about that. Go lay down.
I don't even know if this is still going. Is this still going?
Yeah.
All right, we're still going?
I
We
think
see
so.
you?
It's showing. It's showing the camera on there.
Oh, it disconnected. Let's see here. And that's why we call her a wild child. Please hold. Let's see if we can get this set back up.
Or we could just go ahead and call it a day.
No, I want to say goodbye to everybody. There we go. Can you line me up? Tell me if it's in the right place.
Move more that way. That's fine.
It's good enough?
Yeah.
Welcome to Life with Simi, guys. And we're back. Welcome to Life with Simi. This is why we call her a wild child. She is our pause. She keeps us on our toes. She keeps us laughing. Can we see everything okay?
Yeah, looks great. Only if you stop moving.
I'm trying. All right. Got this set up back up. We good to go?
We're good to go. Here, you can have your thing back. Go lay down. Go lay down.
I can't. All right. Let's see if this is going to go back easily or if we're going to have to fight.
Anyways, so you talked about, everything that you've gone through and you're going through currently. Just because you don't human baby, you're still a mom. So Mother's Day still exists for you.
Aww.
So I wanted to make sure that it's just as special. It's a dog mom or a human mom
Or a god mom.
or a god mom or an aunt.
Oh, I love it.
Rocking the dog mom and aunt life.
See, he's the best husband ever.
And then we have here a shirt that says a lot of other things. Oh no. Oh, okay. Thanks for loving me, taking me for walks, letting me sleep on the bed, giving me cuddles, kisses, and feeding me treats. Happy Mother's Day to the best dog mom. It should have said ever, but I don't know why it doesn't.
Love it.
And then this one just flat out says best period dog mom period ever period. And this one is a little bit of the Godfather. The dog mother.
The dog mother. That is so me.
The dog mother.
Thank you.
And then this is, I thought this would be cute that we can do together. It's a ink pad thing,
For their nose.
so we can either boop their nose and do their paws.
And their paws. I love it. Oh, you're the best.
Boop, boop.
Thank you. I love you.
Yeah.
And I want to circle back to how we started this conversation about childbearing. You know, I am a woman in the eyes of so many people, but I don't have a uterus, but I will always fight for yours, regardless of who you are, what you identify as, what your story is. You know, I love a person who's had an abortion, and I'm pretty sure everyone out there else loves someone that's had an abortion and may not even know it.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, most people don't talk about abortions, so
Be
There's-
careful what you're saying. You know,
Yeah,
you might hurt someone you love.
your best friend could have had an abortion, and of course, you know, they're not going to tell you. Number one, they could be embarrassed. Number two,
It's none of your business.
it's none of your business.
But to those of you who have been here on the live, came in, came out, have grown in our following, that have allowed us to do the lives, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on TikTok, whether it be on Facebook, all of you that love and support and that are here with us, we love you. We thank you. We are always here for you. If you need assistance with anything that we talked about, as far as going camping, I love to go camping. We love to go camping.
Where's this coming from?
We love to go camping, baby.
What does that have to do with law?
We love to go camping.
I don't know if there's some kind of subliminal message.
If any changes happen in the near future,
Oh yeah. Camping.
we're big fans of camping. We will road trip and camp.
We'll go to Mexico with you.
New Mexico.
New Mexico,
There's so many states out there that have
California, of
great
course.
camping. If anything else that we talked about, touched on, you know, resonated with you, or that seems like something you could need assistance with, we are always here for you.
Yeah, let us know. If there's anything you want to talk about, we had a live, about 2 months ago with Susie and Steve. We were going to have a live in April, and unfortunately, that
Didn't work out.
didn't work out. We'll find. I mean, this is our May live, so we'll find someone in June. No, we'll have a live May 31st, coming soon. We'll talk more about that, on May 31st.
Closer to May 31st. We've got some cool stuff in the way for you.
Yeah, and we'll find someone for June.
Maybe two someones. Are
Maybe-
you interested in being on our lives? Like, do you have legal stuff that you want to talk about? Because we are totally open.
I can even, if you're on TikTok, while I'm working, I'd be more than happy to keep my live on so that you can ask questions and I can answer them for you right then and there. Consider it's, consult with Simon type thing.
Oh, I like that. That's going to be a thing.
Unfortunately, your consults wouldn't be confidential because
We can
It's
do private
live.
message. We can set up a private message.
it would have to be encrypted, which means you'd have to come to me. But
We can
anyways,
set up
we
appointments.
can figure something out. If it becomes intricate enough or complex enough where confidentiality is required and you don't feel comfortable, then of course, we'll figure, I'll call you or something, turn off the live and go private. But yeah, consults with Simon type thing could happen. And maybe I'll do that once a week starting next week. And yeah, and I'll bring on some colleagues. John, his childhood best friend, still my best
Mentor.
friend, mentor, and he helped me through this first year. He helped me through law school and is an integral part of iLaw, inside and out, and
Literally of counsel.
of counsel. Yeah, he's, he's the best immigration lawyer I know.
He's the second best one I know.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten my experience and expertise if it wasn't for him. Of course, I did. Racy's helped a lot with
Please
immigration.
explain what Racy's is for people who don't understand.
I'm trying to remember what Racy's stands
It's
for.
an acronym, so give us a second.
It's Racy's is the Refugee and Immigrant Center for Education and Legal Services. That's right, the Refugee and Immigrant Center for Education and Legal Services, and they help those that are detained, especially the ones that are detained right now in holding centers. I was there to help them, with a lot of the COVID restrictions and how they were detaining people for exorbitant amounts of times. Rather than just days, it's weeks, months, and I'm sure at this point potentially even years. And Racy's was there trying to get them out and get them the asylum they needed from their home countries, and assist in that way.
But we love you all. Thank you for joining us, and just always remember, we're not just another law firm.
Not just another law firm. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Logan, if you're listening to this, I hope you find your dad.
I don't know how to end this train.
You know how to point it at me while I'm waving.